Well, in first place, per usual, is Coronation Street. It stays at number one because of the strong writing we consistently see from Coronation Street. I break this down like every month, and I will again, that I think Coronation Street is just the best because of the intertwined stories and the umbrella stories. Coronation Street just does everything right, and I would go so far as to say that this is the best written soap opera in well over a decade, to say the least. And I think the biggest part that they do right is they flesh out their characters and give all of their characters logical motivations. Like, writing is hard, yes, but it's also easy when you know what you're doing and you just follow the logical path to take. And so when there's all these character driven storylines and all of the aftermath fit the characters, I think it just makes for a really great show. And I truly, in April, like, I've loved many months of Coronation Street over the past year plus. But I think April might have been one of the best of them because I was looking forward to watching Coronation Street every time that I could watch it. And a lot of these soaps in my rankings, it can be a struggle to watch, or I will fast forward a lot of them at the bottom, like Days of Our Lives and even Bold and the Beautiful recently, and Emmerdale. There's a lot of fast forwarding with those ones because they are either unwatchable or very boring. But with Coronation Street, I sit my ass down and watch it all, and I think it's been great. So, of course, the main storyline, which it has been for a year now, and we're just getting all of the aftermath of everything that has gone on, has been, Abby, who has been pregnant, and it's been Imran's kid, and they were hiding the fact that they had a one-night stand, but Kevin found out about it, and Kevin told Toya, and of course, Toya has to unfortunately confront Imran in their meeting for an adoption. And so they won't be able to adopt the kid that they were trying to adopt because Imran was being selfish and put himself on his and Abby's baby's birth certificate. The baby's name being Alfie. But I think this storyline was so powerful in April because of all the layers to it, because, Toya can't have children. And so that's why she and Imran have been trying to adopt. And then here's Abby, who lost her son Seb last year because of the brutal attack. And she gets this kind of second time around to try and be a better mother to this baby Alfie. And then there's Imran in the middle, who kind of ruins Toya's chances at adoption, but is now going to have this baby with Abby. So I just loved the layers there, a lot of complications, and therefore a lot of drama. Now, eventually, Imran decides he's going to try and get sole custody of the kid because there comes this point where it seems Abby may be using again. And they tied this story back to Callie because, Callie's mother was dying and Callie was being stubborn and really annoying about it. And she ended up being too late going to talk to her mom in the hospital before her mother died. And so Kelly, who also has these issues with substance abuse, kind of stole her mother's morphine and was going to take the morphine. But then Abby stopped her from doing it, and those two have kind of had a rivalry of late because Kelly was involved in Seb's death. But Abby stops her from taking the morphine, but then Abby takes the morphine away and brings it to her house. And so Imran is convinced that Abby took the morphine, but we never really saw if Abby took the morphine or if she really threw it down the drain like she said. But Imran's running with it, and he kind of wins Toya back, even though Toya was, of course, very upset over the affair that he had with Abby. Well, not affair, but a one-night stand. And so now Abby Imran has convinced Toya that they can be together, they could get married, and they can raise baby Alfie because he's going to try and get sole custody from Abby. He still wants Abby to be in the baby's life, but once Abby finds out about this, of course, she's not having it. So she's going to try and get full custody herself. And now Imran is having Abby followed to try and find out for sure if she has relapsed. But all in all, I just feel like this story has so many layers. It's had a lot of twists and turns. Like I say on some of these other soap operas, if you're going to have long-term slow storytelling, at least have twists and turns. And this story has had after effects for over a year now. From Seb's death to now, they've done wonderful, fucking amazing character-driven storytelling. And to tie it back to Kelly, all of it works. And I was complaining about Hollyoaks, how they have multiple addicts on that show, but it all just seems like a plot device for those separate characters, and they're all kind of separate. But I do like how Coronation Street is able to put Abby and Kelly in these situations together. So big ups to that. We'll quickly touch upon some of these other storylines. Emma kind of left with John to Australia. So I'm glad Emma gets a happy ending. That was a weaker story. That was kind of very plot driven, which is different for Coronation Street currently. But I do like that Emma got a happy ending with John, even though the convoluted story leading up to it wasn't that great. Another weaker point for Coronation Street, even though that too is sucking me in because of the writing, is basically Daisy and Daniel's relationship, because Daisy comes off so insecure and annoying all the time, and Daniel could be annoying himself. But Daisy found out that Daniel had this thing with Nikki, who used to be a hooker, when Daniel's wife died a few years ago, and he didn't buy her as a hooker, but he had her dress up like his ex-wife, and it was kind of weird. But eventually it becomes exposed that Nikki used to be a hooker, and she kind of loses her job at the school, and Daniel immediately blames Daisy, thinking Daisy is the one that put out the website because of her insecurities. But once again, the writing ties this back to Max, who of course has been having problems with Daniel. Daniel pushed him down the stairs because he broke in Daniel's house, and then Max was trying to drug Daniel at the bar, but ended up drugging Amy. And so Daniel's finally had it with Max and makes Max tell Amy the truth about the night she was drugged at the bar. But they also do a good job of tying this to Amy and Jacob's relationship. Jacob has a dark past. He used to be a drug dealer. He was involved in a lot of grief for Simon and his mother. So Simon's been trying to get back at Jacob he hates how everybody thinks Jacob is just this changed man and doing so much better. So Simon's been trying to ruin that for Jacob and Amy. But there comes this point where Max decides he's going to run away because he ends up being arrested for drugging Amy. He breaks in to get money, cuts up his leg, is bleeding a lot. And Jacob and Simon see this happening, and Jacob basically saves his life by stopping the blood flow and getting him to the hospital. So once again, more layers, more connections between storylines. I just think that they are continuing to do a fantastic job in the writing of Coronation Street. It's ridiculously strong right now. I think Coronation Street is in great shape. It was a bit of a heavy month because of all the problems between, Abby's problems, and then Imran and Toya and that side of things. We've also had Summer, who hasn't been taking her diabetes seriously, because when she started taking insulin, she gained some weight and she freaked out. Overall, though, we got to give Ian McLeod credit. I rant and rave about all these producers and writers that suck on a lot of these soap operas, but Ian McLeod has done such a fantastic job with Coronation Street. It continues to be the strongest soap opera, will continue to be in first place as long as the writing stays this amazing. Nothing is going to pass it, because most of the other soap operas aren't even close in quality right now.